Windows operating system works on RDP protocol, and Linux operating system works on SSH, Secure Shell protocol. So for Windows in security group, we have open port number 3389. For Linux, you need to open port number 443. Sorry, 22. You need to open port number 22. So then you can get connected to that machine. Again, we have different tools. How we have that remote desktop connection option. We have PuTTY, we have Mobile Extra, and we have our regular command prompt, or you can install Git and you can start using our Linux commands also. So all works for us. So I'll show you a couple of options here. So which one is convenient, you can go with that. Okay. So I'm launching instance, click on launch instance. And here, Amazon have its own operating system called Amazon Linux. So basically this comes into Fedora family. So Red Hat Linux, CentOS, Amazon Linux, these all commands are going to be same. Whatever the commands you can use in Red Hat, you can use all same here. Okay. So we can choose that, or else if you want to launch Red Hat, you can, but make sure you select free tier only. So if you want to launch Red Hat, you can just go and pick this, or if you want to launch SUSE Linux, you can go and pick this. Ubuntu server, you can just go and pick this. The only thing like for Amazon Linux AMI, the default username is going to be EC2-user. The default username. For our Windows, we have administrator, right? For Linux, the default username is EC2-user. So exactly same way for Red Hat, the username is going to be Red Hat. For Ubuntu, the username is going to be Ubuntu. For CentOS, most of the times it's going to be CentOS or EC2-user. So try with these. Red Hat as a default username. If it is not working, try with EC2-user. Red Hat is a one. For Ubuntu, Ubuntu is a username. For SUSE Linux, I'm not sure about that. So you can give a try. So you can just pick any of your required Linux flavor. Then you can continue with the process. Again, remaining process is going to be same. So I'm going to take Amazon Linux to AMI throughout this course. So advantage with this Amazon Linux AMI is you are going to get a lot of Amazon's own tool by defaultly. For example, EC2, systemd, and Python by defaultly available here. So again, Java will not be available here. But if you are taking this, like here you are going to get AWS CLI tools, Python, Ruby, Perl, and Java. And we are going to get repositories for Docker, PHP, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and other packages. So based on your requirement, what package you are going to or what purpose you are going to, you can pick either of the one. Both works for us. Both are going to, both are same. Okay, so I'm going to take Amazon Linux AMI latest one. And here 64-bit or 64-bit, and some operating systems will come with 32-bit. So you can just pick that. So this is x86 and ARM is a processor CPU mechanism. So just go with the x86. So here is our Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Click on select that. Now, which one we need to choose? We need to choose T2 Micro. That is the only one comes under free tier eligibility. I'm selecting T2 Micro. Then click on next. So here, as I mentioned, like we are going to discuss only a couple of options at the moment. How many instances you required, in what network you want to launch. For example, sometimes you may need to launch instance specifically in one availability zone. I want to launch only in episode 1A. I have an option under subnet. I can go here and I can pick this. And episode 1C will not support T2 Micro. It is locked out. So episode 1C is a recent one. Amazon introduced that recently. So that will not support T2 micro. It supports only some some instance type. So if you are getting any error, just change that availability zone. By defaultly, if you are going with no preference, Amazon will not launch it under AP South 1C. So select AP South 1A. Otherwise, go with the no preferences. So then these all options we are going to discuss. Then shutdown behavior, I'm going to give stop termination protection. I'm going to enable termination protection. You know all these options, right? Tenancy, go with the shared tenancy. Click on next. And storage, we need minimum of 8 gigs for Amazon Linux AMI. So 10 gigs for Red Hat. So that is a minimum required size. Give your required size here, then click on next. So what exactly tag you want to give? You can give the tag here. For example, I'm going to give a name tag and I'm going to call this as a first Linux instance. And you can give, okay, what is the OS? So OS is Linux operating system. And for what project you are using, you can give your own metadata basically. Then click on next. And here we need to configure the security group. Again, it is asking us to create a new security group. For every single instance launch, it will automatically select the first option. But do we really need a new security group for every single instance? We really don't require. So if you already have any existing security group, click here, you can pick the required one. Again, we have default security group. That is a loopback security group. So don't select that. It is going to point all the traffic to itself. We have a specific purpose for that. So as this is a Linux instance, I'll create a new one. Or else I'm going to create a security group. So my SZ, I'm going to get same as the description. So port number 22, okay, 0.0.0.0/0. Along with this, if you want to add any other ports, for example, if you are going to make it as a web server, what port we need to open? HTTP must be open. Just go here and select HTTP. If you're installing MySQL, go here and open MySQL port number. Then only MySQL traffic will be out from the DC2 instance. Otherwise, no one can get connected to the installed MySQL or running MySQL. Okay. So I'm going to select SSH and 443. So what I will do, I'm going to use same security group for my Windows also. So then I'm going to add another rule and I'm going to add RDP also. Again, from where you want to. Okay, 0.0.0.0/0. So here, generally, port number 22, we always give our corporate public IP addresses. Our organizational public IP addresses are going to be fixed. So you will get that from ISP and it is not going to change. In our home network, that is not a dedicated bandwidth, right? Dedicated or leased lines. So it's a shared line, so that is going to change frequently. Yesterday, we got a public IP address and today, I'm not sure we got same public IP address or not. It is different. So, but in organization, it's going to be same. For example, if you are taking my organization, it's in my mind. So I can just proceed. And there you can see it is asking couple of login informations. So now what I can do is I can simply give this public IP address here. Only my organization users can get connected to this EC2 instance. No other users cannot connect to this machine. So when coming to port number 80, yes, no issues. So generally we are going to make it available for everyone. So the website you are delivering for everyone, right? So again 3389 our corporate ID. And for databases, strictly our organization ones. So it all depends. So I'm going to open 3 ports at moment. Port number 22 for Linux, port number 80. In future, if I'm going to host any of the web services there, and 3389 for RDP. Then click on review and launch. So here it is saying improve your instance security. The reason is port number 22 is open for everyone. That is why it is saying, why don't you restrict it to some known IP addresses only? So then you can fix that by clicking on this edit security group, you can fix that. Again, when we set this to, for example, port number 22 and RTP, if I'm setting up to only currently network, see this, we do not have any errors. Port number 80 is fine. Okay, then click on launch. Again, here, yesterday we created one key pair with the name AWS 730 batch. If you want to use same key pair, you can use that. But you must have access to that key pair. If you delete in your machine, for example, you tested and you deleted this PEM file. If you're trying to use, can we download that same? There is no option. It is going to download only once. So you cannot use that. So what you can do is, you can create a new key pair if you don't have access to that. Or if you have access to that, choose an existing key pair and select the key pair. Again, don't go with this option at moment. This is the first time we are logging to this machine. Whenever you are logging for the first time, you must have a key pair. Later on, we have specific purpose for this, proceed without a key pair and all. You can edit SSD files and all. Then you can go with that option. So, but at moment, I'm going to choose an existing key pair. As I have access to that particular key pair, then only I'm selecting that. Otherwise, you can go and pick new key pair. So I'm going to select that. Then I acknowledge that I have access to the select private key pair. Then click on launch instance. Okay, so now instance is launched. And this is what our first Linux instance. Okay, so we are going to get a public IP address as well as private IP address. Public IP address is unique across the globe. Private IP address works only within VPC. Let's assume at moment it works only within AWS environment. From your local network, if you want to get connected to, it won't work. Okay, so it is in pending state. All right, it is in running state now. Okay, let's get connected to this instance. The first option is, we are going to look with PuTTY. So navigate to putty.org. Here you have an option to download PuTTY. Click on this here link, then it will take you to this page. Okay, so if you are using your own machine, you can pick this MSI and you can install this required applications like a PuTTY, PuTTYzen, everything you will get. But you are not looking for an installer. You just want to double click and you want to run that application. So in that case, scroll down and these are the executables. Scroll down, putty.exe. Click on putty.exe. Immediately one file is going to download here. So it is downloading. Now scroll down and here we have puttyzen.exe. So this PuTTY application will not support PEM file. It will not support PEM format. So you need to convert that PEM to PPK format. PuTTY private key. See, is this PEM file a private key or public key? It's a private key. It is a key. Lock is with Amazon, and if you want to see that, here navigate to EC2 dashboard, you can find key pairs. So here is a AWS 730 batch. This is a public key. So while launching, if you select Amazon, is automatically copy this public key to our launched server. So this key is with Amazon, Amazon is copied that. If I am browsing, if I am launching that instance, if I browse that file, PPK file or PEM file, it is going to validate against this. If these private key and public keys both are valid, then only it allows us to log in. Otherwise, it won't allow us to log in. Okay. So this is the place where public keys are going to store and private key is this PEM file. So we just need to change the format from .pem to ppk. To change that format, we are going to use an application called puttyzen.exe. So click on this puttyzen.exe. Okay, so now both files were downloaded, so you can move this to your desktop. Seems I already have, so I'm going to replace that. Okay, so here is the putty.exe and puttyzen.exe. So let's open the putty. Open this. This is how exactly it looks like. And here is a host name or IP address. So you can give a DNS name or public IP address of our instance. Go here, select our required instance. So here is a public IP address. You can use this or you can use public DNS. Both fine for us. And I'm going to grab the public DNS, enter that here. And I'm using port number 22. That is what we opened in our security groups, right? So now, if you click on open, see I'm not browsing any keypad and all. If I click on open, so a small security alert, then give yes. Login as I mentioned, the default username is EC2-user. Click on enter and it is giving an error, putty fatal error. And it is saying no supported authentication methods available. You are just giving username and port number, clicking on connect. Where is the mechanism, the security mechanism we are giving? Nowhere I'm not browsing any file. So you must browse a file. So again, let me open putty.exe. Give the host name. Under connection, expand SSH, select authentication. And here is an option, private key file for authentication. So where exactly you have that file, you need to browse that. Click on browse and the file is on top of our desktop, aws730.pem, and see here it is listing only .ppk files. If I scroll down, if I scroll up, I do not have any ppk files on my desktop. Click here, select all files and look for that file here. So aws730batch.pem, then click on open. Fine, give open again and it is saying unable to use key file. And this is what the location of that key and open SSH private key old PEM format. So it is saying unable to use the associated key. Let's give a try. So the default username is EC2-user. Again, it is saying no supported authentication methods available. The reason is putty application required private key, a format called .ppk. Putty private key is a format it required, but we are giving in different format. It will not support this PEM format. So now we need to convert this PEM to ppk file. So for that, we are going to use puttyzen.exe. So open this puttyzen.exe. Now here is a generate option, that is to generate your own public key and private key. I'll show you after some time. But I already have a PEM file and I want to convert that format. So I'm going to load that existing key. This generate is to generate a new one, but I'm going to select load, click on load. And on top of desktop, I have that PEM file, but again, it is filtering with only .ppks. Select all files and scroll down and pick your file. So aws730batch.pem. Make sure you check this. Then open. Now the file import got completed. This is a public key for that browser key pair. Now again, do I need to save private key or public key? Private key. See, I already have a private key and I want to change the format. I want to not make it as a public key. So make sure you select private key. And we have an advantage here. If you want to set up any password for newly creating ppk file, you can give that. For example, I'm giving 123 as a password. So if I want to use that ppk file, I need to give this password. Then only I can use that. It allows me to use that key pair. So again, I really don't want to enter that password always. So I'll leave this blank. But whenever you are leaving blank, it will ask you, are you sure you want to save this key without any passphrase to protect? I'm okay, then give yes. Now it is asking us to give a name for this PPK format file. Okay, so I'm going to give same name, AWS 730 batch. You can give any name, but for easy management purpose, I'm going to give same name. Then click on save. So immediately one file got created here. So I have a folder. I'm going to manage all these key pairs in a directory called key pairs. So I'm going to paste those here. So this is what my PEM file, and this is what the converted PPK file. Okay. So now let's browse this PPK while getting connected using PuTTY. So opening PuTTY, grab your instance public DNS or public IP address, port 22, and if you select SSH, it is going to be 22 only automatically, but don't change that. It will not allow you to get connected. Select authentication. Under SSH, under connection, you have SSH, expand that. Expand SSH, select authentication. Again, don't expand. If you select these options, again, it will not give you that. So select authentication, then browse your key pair. So the directory is key pair, and here is the one AWS 730 batch.ppk. Click on open, then click on open. So immediately it is giving a small security alert. Just give yes, and it is not giving any error like unable to use a key pair and all. Let's give the default username EC2-user. And we are able to get connected to this machine successfully. We got connected to our Amazon running EC2 instance. So is this clear, guys? The connectivity process or converting that PEM file to PPK file? Sure. This is by using PPK, PuTTY. Exactly same way, like we have some tools like MOBA Extern. So you can just go here, you can download this. So this is a home edition and it is free, but professional edition is going to cost us. So you can just go with the home edition. Download and install this, the process is going to be same. Nothing new. So download, home edition, portable, or this is an installer edition. So if it is a personal computer, just go with the installer edition. Portable means you can move. So it is like an executable, double click and you can start using that. Again, if you are using any Mac operating system or any Linux operating system, you need to use terminal. So we'll see that option. Okay, so I'm going to install. So in Windows 10, we have an option, OpenSSH. If you enable OpenSSH, we can use our command prompt also. Our regular command prompt. Here we have command prompt, right? So here, if you give SSH command, generally it is going to mention like SSH is a unrecognized command. So, but when you enable OpenSSH in your Windows machine, then you can use that. Or else you can do one thing, you can install Git. Just go to Google, look for Git download. So here is a page, git-scm, just navigate there. Seeing some issues. Okay, so here let's navigate to this page. And here is an option, download for Windows. So once it is a typical Windows installation, just click on next, next, next. I already have that in my machine. So once that is completed, where exactly you have your key pairs. For example, I'm maintaining all my key pairs in this particular location, right? I can give a right click here, git bash here. Select that git bash here option. So it is going to open a small terminal. Okay. So here you can use PEM file. So you need to use the same format if you are using Linux machines. So if you are using Mac OS, you must go with the same command. SSH space -I. They are providing identity to this instance by using a key pair called, so our key pair name is aws730.pem. So we have aws730.batch. Again it is selecting. Seems we have space here. Let me remove that. So aws730.pem file I selected. So then the default username is EC2-user @ then you need to give your public IP address of this machine. Give that here, paste it, click on enter, then just give yes if it is prompting for any, and it is saying are you sure you want to continue connecting, just give yes, click on enter, and there you can see we got get connected to this machine. We got connected to our AWS EC2 instance. This is the last logged in information from what public IP address that user got logged into this machine, last logged in information, and you can start working on this machine now. So this is what the command, if you are using any Linux or if you are using your git bash, or if you are using by installing OpenSSH, you can use it. So SSH-I, then keypair.pem. See, I'm using PEM, I'm not using PPK file. .pem, then the default username. So most of the times it is going to be EC2-user, then give your public IP or public DNS. Or if you don't remember this mechanism, we have an option. Go to actions, click on connect. Here is the one. SSH-I. Copy all this. I'm giving ls. It is showing all the available files in this location. Okay. So make sure whatever the key pair you have here, that key pair must be available in this current location. Just paste this, click on enter, so you are going to get connected automatically. Okay. So if you are using terminal, and sometimes you may face difficulties. If you open permissions for everyone, it may not allow you to. It will give an error like permissions are open for everyone. So in that case, execute this command chmod 400, then give the key pair. So we are giving only read access for current users, no other access for any other users. So we will discuss that. So just simply copy and paste that, and you can go with it. Most of the times it will allow, you really no need to. But if it is giving any issues, you can. And to install OpenSSH, we have multiple options, guys. So you can look for OpenSSH settings for Windows, and you can enable that. Otherwise, in Windows, exactly same as Linux, we have a repo tools, like we have package management tools. See, if you want to install anything in Linux, it is very easy. Just give yum space install what package you want to install. So in Windows, so if, for example, if you want to download Chrome download, you are giving this, right? So this is an official web page, so I can trust this and I can download. So but if I scroll down, see chrome.ensoftSonic.com, different website that is also giving a chrome.exe file. If you are going to next page, like you can find n number of the pages. So this is uptodown.com, and they are giving a Google Chrome setup file. So can you trust that? So official websites is fine, but these all things we cannot trust, right? So to get a trusted repositories in Windows operating system, we have a package management system called Chocolatey. this is a chocolatey. So simple. If you want to install something, for example, if you want to install Chrome, give Chaco space install space Chrome. You must know the package name. If you want to install Git, okay, Chaco space install space Git. This chocolatey application itself will automatically go to that official website and it downloads and it gives. So you can definitely trust this mechanism. They will point everything to only official websites. So you really no need to worry about, okay, whether this is a trusted website or not, or they're serving any spam or not. So you must know the package name. This chocolatey is going to verify all those things, whether any spam is there or not, is going to access any information or not. If it is accessing, then they will remove that package from that store. So you can just go with this and you can install this in your machine. So you can go here and click on install now. And these are the prerequisites: Windows 7 plus operating system, PowerShell version 2, and this one. So for individual, simple, open your command prompt and open your command prompt with administrator permissions. That means CMD, give a right click, run as administrator. So whatever the commands you have, just paste that commands here. So it is automatically downloads one PowerShell script and it is going to install automatically. Once that installation is completed, you can start using a command called Chaco. Then if you want to install something, give install. Then what is a package name? So this website itself will manage some packages. Here is the option find packages. Go to find packages. So here, what is the package you want to? For example, if you are looking for Google Chrome, give this. Chaco install Google Chrome. It is going to install automatically. For example, if you want to install Flash Player, just go here and pick this. You can even find so far how many downloads happen. This is Java, Mozilla Firefox, 7-zip, VLC player. So, for example, I want to install Git. Then go here, Chaco space install git.install. So just install and keep this in your machine ready. So you can install like even you can install OpenSSH also. Go here and look for OpenSSH, and here Windows 32 OpenSSH or OpenSSH. Just go here, select this and install, or this is simple one. OpenSSH tools for Windows works in all CLIs. Copy this. Install this. So once it got installed, just give yes to continue with the installation. All right, so you see here, it is already installed. Why? Because I already have. In your case, you are going to get that. So once installation is completed, close this and open. Now give CMD. Now you can use your regular command prompt to get connected to all your Linux instances. So simple. Where exactly you have your key pairs. For example, these are the files I have in this particular location, but all my key pairs are in this a directory called key pairs. I want to open this location in my command prompt. Simple. Click here, give CMD, it opens this. And if you want to verify how many files we have in this location, give dir, click on enter. So these all files are available in this current working location. Okay. So now let's do this. SSH space -i. My key pair name is Mumbai AWS 730 batch.pem, then space, default username is EC2-user @ then grab your public IP address and give this here, click on enter. Then it got connected. See, observe here, it is showing EC2-user @ public IP address. I'm exiting, it is showing my local one. See, Windows System 32 CMD. If I want to get connected, again I can give this. Now I'm working inside the EC2 instance. If you want to know whether you are in your local machine or you're in a EC2 instance, give a command hostname. If it is showing this AP South 1 and dot computer dot internal, that is nothing but your EC2 instance. When you gave host name, if it is showing your computer name, okay, that means you are in your local computer. Simple mechanism. You may get a doubt why we are looking into all these options. So it all depends on your convenience. We have many options. We have many third-party tools to get connected to Linux. You can use Git, you can use OpenSSH, you can install OpenSSH, and you can use your regular command prompt, or you can install Git, or you can go with the PuTTY, or you can go with the MobiXTrum. And if you are using any Linux operating system or Mac OS, any Linux flavor, so you can give this command and you can get connected to your Linux instance. In all these cases, we are using .pem, but if you are using PuTTY, you must use .ppk format file. Clear with that? Okay. Right. So this is how exactly you can get connected to your Linux EC2 instance. So any questions on this, guys? No questions, all good? Okay, so now let's discuss an important option, that is status checks on our EC2 instances. See, next to description, we have an option called status checks. So mainly we have two types of status checks. First one is system status check. Second one is instance status check. So this instance status check is nothing but OS level checks. So due to some reasons or like accidentally you have detached a key pair, NIC card. When you disable NIC card, can we get connected to that machine? No. NIC is an entry and exit point, right, for our EC2 instances. So if you disable that, immediately connection is going to terminate and you cannot get connected to that. Or else sometimes, so your OS is, that OS running drive is completely full. So it won't allow you to boot that system and all, right. So simple, any operating system level issues your instance is facing, then these instance status checks are going to be failed. So you can look into logs, you can fix that issues manually. We have different options. Without login to also we can enable NIC cards, we can execute any command, we will discuss that. But instance status check is nothing but instance level issues. Most of the times reboot works for us. That is what we suggest many times, right? Okay, you are facing any issue, okay, yeah, first reboot that and try again. So reboot works most of the cases. Otherwise, you can look into the logs and you can understand, okay, why we are getting that issue and all. Then you can try to fix it. These are the logs related to this Linux machine. So you can observe this and you can. Okay. So when coming to system status check, this is nothing but, so if you recall that EC2 instance isolation diagram, the first one is physical interface. If you are facing any issue related to that physical interface, power connectivity or network connectivity within the data center, so we cannot do anything, right? So such type of issues comes under system status check. Okay, so this is nothing but host level issues or physical resource level issues. Again, how we can fix this? By performing stopping and starting our EC2 instance, we can fix these issues. If you're still not able to, we have a quick fix, add additional NIC card. If that is also not working, contact AWS. See, we are nowhere near to the physical resources. We are here in remote location and that server is running in AWS data center. We really don't know, but status checks are failing. So in that case, stop and start the instance. Whenever you stop the instance will come out from unhealthy host. When you starting it again, it will look for nearby healthy host and it is going to run in the healthy host, healthy physical resources. That is why we are not going to hold any public IP address whenever you are stopping your EC2 instance by defaultly. We will see that now. So again, I will do one thing. I'll quickly make this as a simple web server. Again, don't worry about that process. And everybody registered with the Linux course. Everyone. So there we have like a package management system, and we have discussed how we can install stdpd package. I'll quickly explain, but if you have enough time, please go through that. Please go through that package management, how we can start the service, how we can stop the services and all. So, however, we'll discuss that after a couple of sessions. But I'm going to explain how much you required here. So in detail and everything. So that's why I given that course and all. So I'm going to get connected to this machine. So default username is EC2 user, and elevating my privileges to root, and don't worry about this steps, please. Simple. I made it as a simple Apache web server. Okay, let's test it output. Go here, select the public DNS, give it here, and we are able to get that web page. And port number IT is open for everyone, so anyone can access this web page. So this is what my currently associated public IP address. This is what my currently associated public IP address, and due to some reasons you want to stop this machine and you want to start this. So go to actions, stop it, click on yes, stop. Then immediately connection got disconnected. So now the connection is stopped and instance is in stopped state now. And if you observe, immediately these public DNS and public IP address will not be available. See this, it is released. So it is not holding any public IP address and private IP address. Later on, you have started this EC2 instance. So it is starting. First, it will come to pending state. From pending state, it will come to running state. Whenever you are stopping, it will come to stopped state. Stopping, then stopped state. Whenever you are terminating, first it is going to shut down, then it is going to. See, this is existing public IP address. It worked before stopping. If I gave refresh, it's trying to load, and it's going to fail. Why? Because this public IP address got stopped, changed. As I have access to AWS console, I know the new public IP address. I can go here, I can test it. That is working, no issue related to configurations and services. But public IP address got changed. Let's assume. So you install some database here and you given that IP address to all your developers and they have generated some connection strings, DB strings, and they're pointing their application. So due to some reasons, you have stopped and started. The IP address got changed. All your developers are not able to get connected to this machine. So why? Because the reason is the public IP address got changed. So that is why service is up and running, but they really don't know this. Again, I need to deliver this manually. Okay, the public IP address got changed, so you can point it to this one. Again, if I stop and start, is there any guarantee I'm going to get the same? No guarantee. So to overcome such type of issues, we have an option called EIP. EIP stands for Elastic IP Address. Elastic IP, Elastic Internet Protocol. Okay. So again, remember, no free tier eligibility. Just observe that mechanism here, that is sufficient. Okay, don't generate any elastic IP addresses. The moment you generated elastic IP address, you are going to get charged for that. Either it is in associated state or in idle state. Regardless of that, you are going to get charged. So just understand the mechanism. Okay. So now, this is what my public IP address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate one elastic IP address and I'll associate that here. For that, go to EC2 dashboard, elastic IPs, click on allocate new address, and here we have two options. One is Amazon pool, second one is owned by me. So for example, I already maintaining an IP address pool in my organization. So I want to use it here. So then we can go here and we can create custom pools. So we can migrate some here and we can use that. But I'm going to get from Amazon pool, then click on allocate. So this is what the elastic IP address Amazon given to us. So this is a dedicated IP address Amazon given to my AWS account, and I can use for any resource in this Mumbai region. All EC2 resources are region specific. You cannot use this in for any other regions. Okay, so this is what the public IP address we got. Now I want to associate this to one of the EC2 instance. Go to actions. First one is release address. That means once you are done with all requirement, you can give it back to AWS. You can kick out from your AWS account. Second one is associate address. If you want to associate to any of the resource, go here and pick associate address. Now, do you want to associate to an instance or NIC card? So I want to associate to an instance. NIC card is our next topic. After 10 minutes, we'll talk about that. So I'm going to select instance. Then select your instance. So in this region, I have total 3 instances and I have some stopped instances and some running instance. Even instances in stopped state also you can associate. I need it for first Linux instance. So I'm going to select that. Then this is private IP address. If you want to manage any private IP address, you can manage that, but you can leave this blank and click on associate. Again, if it is associated with any other resource, you can select this option. It is going to release there. It will associate here. So, but this is the first association. I've selected instances and click on associate. Click on close. Now, if you go to instance, select the instance. Here is our new public IP address. This one is already gone again. So grab your new elastic IP address, give it here, and we are able to get the output. So this is a fixed IP addresses. Let's stop this instance now. Go to actions, stop, click on yes, stop. Now we are stopping. Earlier, when the instance is in stopped state, we do not have any public IP addresses. But now, as I associated elastic IP address to the machine, even when the instance is in stopped state also, this IP address will associate it to this EC2 instance NIC card. Okay. So again, if you start, there is no changes in public IP addresses. You are going to get your. So now instance is in stopped state. Still we have this. Any change happened here? No. So I'm going to start it. So now when the instance is in stopped state, if I try to access this website, can we get that? As instance is in stopped state, the service will not be delivered. I'm going to start it now. Click on start give yes, start. Now it is in pending state, then it will come to running state in a minute. And there is no change happened on this public IP address. Okay. It is in running state now. Go back here. Do a quick refresh. There is no change in IP address and I'm able to get earlier. Not like this. Okay. So if you have an important server, then you can associate an elastic IP address to that resource, and you can give a fixed address, a public IP address for your web server or any of the server. Okay. So now, if you disassociate this, I'm going to disassociate. It's still in my AWS account, but I've removed from this instance. So immediately this is gone. I got a new public IP address. Again, I'll get output by using that new one, but this elastic IP address is disassociated. Can we associate multiple public IP addresses for our instance? Yes. Multiple NIC cards basically. For that NIC card, you can associate a new public IP address. What is NIC? Network interface card. So in simple, LAN card. So for our regular laptops, we are going to have only one NIC. But for servers, we are going to have multiple. So for example, whatever the server you are going to take, can we find any images? Multiple NIC cards, multiple NIC cards. Say this. So we are going to have multiple NIC cards for a server. So this is Dell Pro. So 4 NIC cards. So exactly same way, I want to maintain multiple NIC cards for my EC2 instance. So why we need multiple NICs? To scale the traffic, to scale it, data in and out from your EC2 instance or to your EC2 instance. So multiple NICs will take the load instead of one. So in that case, we have an option called ENI. ENI stands for Elastic Network Interface. Okay, so remember this. It will not come under filter eligibility. So now I have only one public IP address for this instance and only one private IP address only. I need multiple. So in that case, go to Network and Security. In left pane, there you have an option called Network Interfaces. Select Network Interfaces. At moment, I have 3 network interfaces. For all the 3 servers, by default, you will get only one. So I have 3 servers in this region, so I have 3 NIC cards. Now, I'm going to create a new network interface and I'm going to associate that to my EC2 instance. So again, first thing you need to take care is your instance and NIC card must be in same availability zone. So in what availability zone my instance is running? My instance is running in AP South 1B. I need to create a NIC card in AP South 1B only. So go to Network Interfaces, click on Create Network Interface. What is the description? So I'm going to call this as a additional NIC for web server, or you can give any, and under what subnet you want to create. So my web server is in AP South 1B. I'm going to select that. Now IPv4 private IP address. So if you want to give any manual private IP address, you can click on custom and you can give within that range. This we will discuss in our VPC. Go to auto assign. Okay, so then what is the security group you want to associate? So again, traffic is going to filter at security group level only, so it must have a security group. So I'm going to give my SD, then scroll down, click on create. So one new additional NIC card got created, but it is in available state. It is not in use. It is not in use status. Select this, attach. What is your instance? So here, first Linux instance. See, out of 3, it is showing only 2. I have total 3 instances, but it's showing only 2. The reason is only 2 is in AP South 1B. AP South 1A instance will not show here. Okay. Then I'm selecting first Linux instance. Click on attach. Now, if you go to instances, see here we got multiple private IP addresses. By using both private IP address, you can access that website. But as it is a private IP, it works only within network. Okay. Now, if you want to give multiple public IP addresses, yes, as we have multiple NIC cards, we can associate multiple public IP addresses. Select to what NIC you want to associate a public IP address. Pick that. Go to actions, manage, associate IP address, and here what is the IP address you want to associate. This is an available elastic IP address. I'm selecting that. Click on associate address. Okay. Now go to instances. See, we have 2. This is one public IP address. This is another public IP address. By using both, we can get output. See, this is my first IP address, same, and this is my second IP address, same. Okay. So both are having different public IP, both are different public IP addresses, but able to deliver same from our EC2 instance. So you can distribute load by using this mechanism. And why we discuss this, whenever you are facing system status check, sometimes it is going to like a stop and start works in most of the cases, but if it is not working, you need to contact AWS. So based on support plan, Amazon is going to give, they are going to provide the assistance, right? But in between, if you really don't want to make that server unavailable, then immediately you can create an additional NIC card and you need to associate the NIC cards. That is a temporary fix. So again, you can contact AWS and they will help us to fix that issue. As we are nowhere near to physical resource, we do not have option. Okay. And instance status check, yes, you can observe logs and you can reboot that. Then you can perform stop and stop also. Then you will get rid of instance status check failures. So again, if you are going to write a SysApps administrator exam or a security exam, so these are important things. Okay, seems I'm getting some questions here. So how much they charge? So we can look into the pricing calculator page, Kamaldeep Singh. For elastic IP address, if you are running for an entire month, it is going to cost us $3 per month. For entire month, one elastic IP address will cost $3. Again, how many times associating, how many times disassociating, that is also matter. So if you want to calculate the price for any of the service, what you can do is go to AWS simple monthly calculator. Okay, go here, select your region first, Mumbai region. Now scroll down here, you can find elastic IP address. So total time the additional elastic IP address are attached to running EC2 instance. For example, I'm going to associate for always to the EC2 instance. So 744 hours per month. Non-attached time. For example, you are going to associate only for 10 hours, later on you are not going to, but you really don't want to release that, then you can give that. Number of elastic IP address remaps. Now I map it to one instance, I can detach that, I can attach to another instance, right? So exactly same way, how many you are going to perform per day or per week or per month. So I'm not going to, once I generate and I gave that, I'm not going to. So let's assume only one. So then here you can find the cost. So here, observe this, the cost is going to be 3.72. Again, seems, so 0 per month and cost is going to be 3.72, like they may be added, it's a $3, but including that tax and all, it comes to 3.72, I believe. So support, no, not required. So you can pick any service and you can observe the pricing. For example, you want to know pricing for any of the particular instance category, add that here. What is the instance category you want to with Windows operating system? If you are taking C4 large, you can click on close and save. On demand price, you can just go here. So this is what your monthly cost is going to be. And this is what Elastic IP address cost is going to be. So you can just observe that here. And Amazon is going to roll back this soon. They have started implementing a new website that is calculator.aws. So it is not yet available. So it is in preview state only, but it is going to replace this simple monthly calculator. It is going to give better visualization compared to that simple monthly calculator. And creating NIC will comes under free tier eligibility. No, NIC also will not come under free tier eligibility. And Elastic IP address also will not come under free tier eligibility. And based on instance type, we are going to get NICs. For example, if it is T2 micro, you can associate only 2 NIC cards, not more than that. So, but if you want to know the limit, EC2 instances, NIC card limits. So this is Elastic Network Interfaces based on your instance category. Here, maximum network interfaces you can associate for IPv4, for IPv6. So you can look into this for T2 micro. So you can associate 2. So this is what Elastic Network Interfaces and Elastic IP addresses. So I believe you got that mechanism. So you can give a try. So but I can give a task. So yesterday you launched a Windows machine and you installed IIS, right? On top of this, perform this. But again, test it with private IP addresses. Don't generate Elastic IP address, don't associate. So you're not going to get charged anything for that. So launch a Windows instance. Launch a Windows instance and install IIS. First thing. Second step is create a new NIC card in same region, same AZ availability zone, not region, sorry. Card in same availability zone and associate with IIS installed web server. Now launch another EC2 instance, like pick Windows only, and try to access the IIS hosted website using private IP address. This one will not work outside AWS environment. Why? Because I am asking you to access it with private IP address. So it will not work outside network. So simple, what I'm asking you to do is, I'm asking you to perform all the tasks instead of this. Instead of this associating, like instead of associating new IP addresses, Elastic IP addresses, I'm asking you to go test it with only private IP address. So I'm going to disassociate and I'm going to release address from my account. Again, how many hours you are going to run, based on that hours only you are going to get charged. If you create, you are not going to get a $3 bill. Per hour, you are going to get charged. So if you want to, you can, if you are okay to spend some bucks, definitely you can generate and you can test it within an hour, then, but make sure you release it. I released it. So now if I release, so this instance is going to have multiple private IP addresses. Why? Because I have multiple NIC cards. But will that work here? Not working. And will this works? No, it won't work. Then where I can access this, where I can use this within your AWS environment. So what I'm asking you is, launch a new Windows instance, Windows Server 2012 R2. Then within this instance, give this private IP addresses. And are you able to access or not? Just test that. Okay. So that is what the task I'm giving here. And here is a status checks. You can find status checks. So you must have 2x2 status checks here. So this is a system status check and instance status check. So add on the basic support plan. If you want to get any issues, please note that we respond to customer issues reported via, so you can raise a ticket. You can contact AWS support for that. They will help us. Okay. So any questions on this Linux instance launch and getting connected, Elastic IP address and Elastic network interface? No, all good? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Why it is changing? So it is going to come out from that resources. When instance is in stopped state, it is not going to be on the physical resource, healthy host. Technically, it will come out from that healthy host and it will not have any physical communication with that. So that is why it is going to change. So to elevate that, you are going to generate a Elastic IP address and you are associating that.
Hello.
Okay. So yes.
Hi. If we have our
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. I'm able to hear you, Kamaldeep.
Hi. If we have our own IP address, can we use that?
We need to contact AWS for that, and even you need to get approval from your existing ISPs. So it is a lengthy process.
But it's possible.
Yes, that is possible.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So in our next session, we are going to discuss about the volumes, hard disk drives. Okay. So then we will discuss about images. So meanwhile, I want you to go through that Linux course. So at least like forget about the basics, like how you can launch that is available, and user management you can go very slowly, and the disk management, just spend some time and do that. Okay, if you migrate on-premise server to AWS, does AWS allocate IPs randomly? Yes. So generally, when you migrate, you are not going to get that server including IP address and all. You are going to get a simple AMI here. Again, by using this AMI, you need to follow this. So as you migrated, you really no need to select this plain operating system. Instead of this, you are going to select your customized or upgraded operating system. Then remaining all steps are same. The public IP address allocation, public enable, disable, that is going to happen here in third step. Okay. And please tell how to install general exe files on server, and based upon its size, how to calculate the bill. Okay, so we are launching a Windows machine, right? On top of that Windows machine, you can download anything, you can install anything. For that, we are not going to get charged anything. When coming to AWS perspective, we are going to get charged how many hours you are running server and how much hard disk provisioned you, how much hard disk you have provisioned. Within your EC2 instance, what application you downloaded, what exe files you downloaded, what you installed. Amazon will not cost us that. So in our last session, we installed IIS. So instead of IIS, you can download Apache and you can install that. No issue. You are getting administrative permissions on your server, right, Shailendra? Once you got admin rights on your server, you can perform anything, right? So again, if you still have any doubt, just remind me tomorrow. So however, we are going to launch some Windows servers. There I will download one simple exe and I will show you how to install. Okay. So yeah, that's it for today's session, guys. And one quick thing, make sure you terminate all your resources once you're done with your lab. Again, termination protection is enabled, so you need to disable the termination. Change termination protection, yes, disable. Then you can terminate this instance. So from next session onwards, we are going to launch instance pretty quickly. We are not going to take this much time to launch instances. Okay. So please spend some time to practice these things. Without practice, it's very difficult to understand. It looks simple, but whenever you are doing later on, you will find difficulties. So make sure you practice on same day. Okay. So then see you again tomorrow. Thank you guys.